Oh, good. A whole bunch, 200 mumbo jumbos. Don't take any wooden nickels. Yeah, alright, fine.
Yeah, it's a little more profound than that. Anyway,
You
next
say
topic.
so. You say so. Says you. Says you.
She's cool, man.
Nietzsche talk has
This is the danger of...
I've always wanted to ask you, Gary. What do you think of Ayn Rand? I probably already know the answer.
Well, yeah, I think she's just an insane bitch cunt. What the hell? What do you think I think of her? I wouldn't fuck her, that's for damn sure. Not even on Barbitchkowitz. Yeah, it's just a nasty fucking wad of trash. I mean, well, you know, if you kill a few million poor people, they'll finally learn how not to be poor. You gotta teach them a lesson. Right makes might. Yeah, she was just loopy, crazy fuck.
Makes right.
What a bitch. No, I reversed it on purpose, shithead. I Randyized it. Everything backwards. That's Ayn Rand.
Well, Ayn Rand is certainly infatuate with 7th grade free market capitalists. She loves them.
Well, whatever. I mean, she had a little cult of all these right-wingy, whatever, this whole invisible hand kind of nonsense, and somehow there's this invisible hand of nature and this freedom notion, like there is such a thing. Yeah, and it's going to somehow make everything turn out all right. I mean, I can make the argument that slavery was hugely productive. Right? I could make a very rational argument that, we all gained, like, millions upon billions of people benefited from slavery. But it still wouldn't justify the imposition of it. So, I mean, it's if you're going to go by raw value equations, of course you can make something sound rational. But you got to talk about real world circumstances, and the bottom line is the guy you just sent into coal mine to make 30 cents an hour because he's desperate, and he's going to die at 22. You killed that fucker. All right, there's no way around it. That's what you fucking did. You killed him. All right, and the value of his life was just as precious as your fucking jackass life, and that was where she just was complete fail.
Always wanted to know because, like, I've always wanted to know how you felt about her using the term objectivist. Because
yeah, well, of course, it pissed me off, but I mean, there's obviously she did it. She did it before I could stop her, so nothing I can say about that. But I mean, yeah, obviously the word objective has a different meaning to me than these assholes. People have changed the word objective into something other than a non-biased perspective, and that's where objective should stand.
Well, I mean, open question to anybody who's listening or viewing: does objectivist mean the same thing as objectivism or objective? I'm not sure that it does, but what the fuck do I know?
Well, I'm not sure it does either, but I can't. We can't fix any of this. When somebody says a materialist, they're not really talking about somebody who believes in matter, right? So I mean, that's where everything gets fucked up. Is the language is so broken. I'm just saying that there are these other definitions of the word objective that don't have anything to do with Randyism, and so yeah, her use of the word kind of just broke the word further.
Yeah, it's like a bullshit word. It's got multiple meanings. Like you could have an objective in a tennis game to win or something like that, but you're using the word objective differently.
Well, that's a different word, basically, so that's not even the problem. The problem is that even when people are saying objective in the right sense of the word, they're using the word still differently.
It's like how that Piro jackass uses the word logic. It means the total fucking opposite.
Well, whatever. His definition is way too... He doesn't know that logic is in the universe and we're just discovering it. The basic function of math is logic, and the basic function of life, once you establish the identity of the variables, is just to do the math. I mean, the plus sign and the equal sign are really easy. It's defining the variables that's tricky.
Yeah, we kept trying to tell him, it's like, listen, dude, the reality of it is, if you're going to tell me your logic is going to be used for either discovering truth or if it's for some other reason than that, then it all depends on the premise, and he couldn't seem to understand that. We're like, if you put bullshit in, you get bullshit out. And that's where his logic's fucked up.
It's not logic that's broken, it's premises that are broken. People are basically logical. They're just incredibly cheating the premises. They're fucking the variables. They're making them up.
Yeah, but what causes them to cheat the premises or cheat the logic? I don't get that, Gary.
I don't get that, self-interest. Self-interest. There's nothing else. Obviously, it's conditioning. I mean, a Muslim is conditioned with this huge attachment to his fantasy world of Muhammad and all that kind of crap. So it's ingrained in them. So I can't even say the cheat is an overt cheat. It's a cheat of psychology. Their psychology is broken, but quite obviously, if you're going to have that crap thrown into your math, it's going to break all the math. The math is all broken because you have some kind of God delusion. But people have so many kinds of delusions. They have capitalist delusions, and you know, if you do the right thing, everything will be all right. You know, magic air delusions. I mean, people like apparently think, you know, air is magical.
I'm not trying to name drop, but the more I hear you talk, the more I hear a lot of this David Harvey, you know, and that's why I asked not to drop names or anything of that nature, but I see a lot of...
Well, what's the content? I made my point.
But you are dropping names.
Who the fuck cares, all right? I don't care about David Harvey. If you can't articulate his arguments, if you can't paraphrase him, I can paraphrase Benatar. He wrote a whole fucking book. I can paraphrase him in a few sentences. What the fuck is your problem with paraphrasing these assholes, making your argument, making a point? But to say I sound like, who the fuck cares? People tell me I keep sounding like William Dafoe. Do I care? No, I don't fucking care.
I know, like, you can own the truth, so if the guy's argument is true, and that's why you're all ass-hurt about it, it doesn't really fucking matter who said it first.
Yeah, well, I'm not really looking to get into some sort of, like, who's got the most names on their side. Now let's play the game, you know? That's your token in life, is how many names you got in your pocket. Now, I don't fucking give a shit about names. I give a shit about arguments.
My point being that there are similarities, and when people have things that are in common, sometimes they come up with solutions. And
well, whatever. I mean, there's no one compares Einstein to somebody. Nobody compares even Bohr to somebody. They just leave them alone because they made their arguments. They had their point of view. Everybody knew their point of view, and there was no need to sit there and re-paraphrase it or recontextualize it or compare it to somebody else or do any of this shit. I'm just saying I have no fucking interest in a name. I just don't give a fuck. If I went to a museum, I don't give a fuck who painted it, alright? I'm going to look at the fucking paintings. I'm not going to look at the fucking signatures.
Hey Gary, I have a question for you. It's a rather serious question, if you're up for it.
Well, I hate the question before the question. This is another thing. I just don't understand the point in it. Why ask me? Is it okay to ask a question? Have I ever said to somebody, no? Has the answer ever been no when somebody asked, Gary, can I ask you a question? And I said, no, I don't think you can. Nope, don't feel like the question, no, it's not appropriate time, whatever. What's that? No, just ask the fucking question.
Thank you. The reason I phrased it like that and preset it up was just so nobody would interrupt me. Okay, here's the question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being perfect atheism, no belief in God, and 10 being perfect theism, where do you define yourself on that spectrum, on that scale? Over to you.
I don't know. I mean, I'll give the bogus answer. 11, 15, 563. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put yourself on a scale. I mean, if the average atheist is, what, a 7? I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem like 10 is far enough away from them, because I seem quite far from them. But
well,
yeah, I mean,
sorry,
obviously,
I don't mean to interrupt you, Gary.
Let me just finish my point. Let me just finish
my
fucking answer! I guess I would say is I can't really think of anyone I know of who is more of an atheist than I am. So I guess I would qualify for the highest ranking.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you there. Okay, so you made your point clear. You're an 11 out of 10. Richard Dawkins, when he was asked the same question, defined himself as a 9 out of 10. That's the only reason I was asking, is whether you had any millimetrical doubt in your mind.
Was that a goddamn lie detector test or some sort?
Yeah, Dawkins is a pussy, okay? So we already know that. So yeah, and Dawkins has made concessions to this argument that a lot of atheists trip themselves up with, which is, well, we can't know for sure. Well, we can know for sure. It's a logical proof, all right? We can prove there is no fucking real Bugs Bunny. We basically have the evidence that all religion is made up, okay? None of it is reliable if it isn't provably made up. We can prove the source, the origins of these religious fables. And if they're not, if we couldn't prove their shitty origin, what we can prove is that human testimony is intrinsically unreliable and can be given little credibility when it comes to claims of supernatural phenomenon. Okay? We have seen literally millions of people claim extraordinary bullshit that we have found to be unreliable nonsense. 2,000-year-old UFO sightings. How much credibility are you going to give that? And that's essentially what Jesus Christ is, okay? He's a fucking 2,000-year-old story of a UFO sighting, alright? It's just complete shit, alright? And Dawkins doesn't have the guts to say that? Well, fuck Dawkins, then.
I hate this fucking sliding scale shit anyway. I mean, it's the question is bogus from the get-go. It's a binary question. It's a 0 or a 1. There's no 1 to 10. Either you're an atheist or you're not an atheist.
Oh, come on.
And,
it's not
this
binary.
kind of,
it's not binary.
Well, that
it's a complete fucking binary question.
Well, it really isn't, though, Paul. Because how many atheists are really... I mean, they're not atheists, okay? They have a theology. The theology is the DNA molecule. Their theology is nature. Their God is some other... their God is... The power of positive thinking. Their God is LSD. Their God is good sex. I mean, they still have a fucking God. So, I mean, yeah, we could say then they're not atheists if you want to play the binary game, but I would just say they're weak atheists. They've gotten that the fable gods are wrong, but they haven't figured out that all these non-identified gods are also bullshit.
And even if you don't subscribe to the binary equation of God versus no God, I mean, it's still bullshit.
Like, what is a fucking... Like, because for me, it's... And I've talked about this before, atheism is such a non-fucking starter as a conversation for, who I am. I'm not religious. I don't believe in God. So I'm an atheist. What does a 7 out of 10 look like? Like, what's the sliding scale? I've never, I understand what you're saying, Gary, but I don't buy that believing that, you know, LSD is their god is the same as fucking having a religion and believing, you know, the fairy tale aspect of. I think we're talking about two different things.
All right. Well, how about a scale for theology then instead? So then we could say how much of a theologist we are and whether we're a 0 or a 10, because maybe that's the more pertinent question. Because obviously you have these half religions like Scientology, you know, where they don't really believe in the volcano and the UFO, but they like the power of the positive thinking and all this kind of crap. And then you got Christian Scientists, and they're kind of bogus, Christians really. They're kind of, they so reformed the Christian religion that it isn't even recognizable as the Christian religion anymore. The reformists. So, I mean, all that reforming has to account for something, right? Where they take an ancient fable and they completely remodify it, put it in a Gucci, give it a Gucci handbag and give it a Mercedes Benz, and they just reculturalize it, So that is a little different than the fanatic. The fanatic still living in whatever 0 BC or whatever 0 AD. I mean, those two kinds of differences are real. So I guess in that sense, maybe the scale for how theological you are might be more pertinent. But I tend to agree with your. You can only generalize and simplify things so much, and this scaling thing is a little bit too sledgehammer. It doesn't get to the nuance of what. It doesn't say much about philosophy.
Yeah, I don't like scales like that on topics like God and religion. I mean, those are a little bit big to really measure. How do you really measure a 0 versus a 10 in something that huge? I mean, you can get away with that shit on little things, but...
Well, how do you even measure your own place? Like I said, I almost feel a little obnoxious to say I'm a 10, because, okay, maybe there's somebody who really is a 10 and I'm not really a 10. It's almost like comparing how pretty you are. You're always going to say something like, well, I'm a 7, 7.5. You don't want to be too obnoxious.
I just think that, and I know that you're big on the definitions of words and defining the terms of argument. And so we don't ever have to have this fucking conversation of the bullshit go nowhere sliding scale of theism and atheism. I think we should just define what theism is and stick to that fucking definition. Like for me, when somebody says theism, I think of a huge, powerful, unknowable, inscrutable deity that created everything, that pulls the strings of reality, and nothing else. I don't think of other types of philosophy in that context. So, and that's why it's a binary question for me. Do you believe that a God created everything, or do you believe that things came about naturally?
Well, we should easily be able to define what theism means, I would say, in the next 2 centuries. 200 years, tops.
Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, well, look, and the word theism is a little tricky, because really, shouldn't it be deism? I mean, really, shouldn't it be about the deity? Because theology means to me, a dogma. So a religion with a dogma. One that has a creation story or something. So that would be theism to me. But deism to me is just as dangerous. Idolatry, there's a lot of that in what people are doing. I mean, they have risen some jargon. Just do it to some preposterous level and turn it into a statement of truth. And it's goddamn rubbish.
Yeah, and I'm not. I don't mean to repeat myself. I have a hard time conceptualizing what a 7 on a 1 to 10 scale would look like. I kinda, sorta don't believe in God, but kinda do. Then you're not an atheist. So what if you have a feeling? What if you have a feeling like you're an intuitionist? You know what I mean? Like, well, but I have these feelings sometimes, I didn't go on that plane and the plane crashed. I mean, how'd that happen? There's no missing links, Where are the missing links?
Somebody posted that on one of
Anything
Professor
to-
Anton's videos,
anything
and I
to-
wanted to make a whole video about it, because I just wanted to say, don't all you have to do is Google fucking evolution, and even though just a tiny qualifier like punctuated or something else, and you'll find out that evolution takes place in small populations. You dumb fuck, and there's no goddamn fossil record because there wasn't like 10 million of the zombie humans with half their brain hanging out of their head. Okay, so yeah, we don't have any fossils of the zombie humans, but they goddamn existed. You stupid fuck.
No, that last video of his, I was like, when's Gary gonna make a goddamn video response? Because he was talking.
Oh, I couldn't do it.
Shit.
I mean, it just rambles, this bibble babble, and you're just like, fucking, how does he get away with this shit? And how are people commenting to this as if it's rational video? How the fuck are they doing that?
Well, how do we know that we don't know? You know what I mean? You know
Well,
what I mean?
You might as well just post a comment, like just randomly go on a video and post a comment like, I like to cut my grass in the nude too.
Yeah, right. I was trying to convince him his pen had feelings. I almost had him there too. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, well, it just gets so discouraging, because you're just like, oh, this is hopeless. These people, they'll make arguments about shit that you can just, the tiniest bit of effort you can find out exactly what the counter argument is, and they just obviously don't have any interest, and they're just going to keep saying it like it's like, there's no missing links, there's no missing links. No, that was resolved 20 fucking years ago.
Right, I mean, I'm glad we haven't found some of them fossils, because if you go far enough back, we were still eating each other and really fucking barbaric shit, so I'm glad with just little fuzzy monkeys on the plains of Africa,
Little fuzzy monkeys that probably were eating fried manure. No one wants to talk about that, but that's probably what they were doing.
Right, I mean, the truth fucking sucks. That's why they got Antons out there putting fucking sugar on a pile of shit, and the motherfuckers are all eating it up like, yeah, you're right, maybe it doesn't suck.
Yeah, it really is pitiful. You got psychology on my philosophy. I'll have to make a commercial, because it really is. They're just mixing the two. What feels good? Oh, let's see what idea feels good. Yeah, let's rub the idea on my nipples and see if it makes my nipples hard. Yeah, oh, that's a good philosophy. Yeah, that made my nipple really hard.
That's about it.
Yeah, well, whisper implies that somebody has control over something, and obviously Edible doesn't have any control. So he's not really whispering on Stickam in the whispering sense.
I'm talking as loud as I can right now without, screaming. It's really hard for me to control not screaming.
Yeah, well, just, you can make one of those little megaphone-y things. You get a piece of paper and roll it up, and you're talking to the megaphone, and you would make yourself sound like you're a lot louder. Oh, that was your old mic.
What happened to that warbles on a lot
And
guy,
too
Gary?
many rum and coke.
Yeah, well, I don't care what happens to him from now on. The guy's an idiot. I mean, the guy actually thinks that, oh yeah, well, those bums who slept with my ex-wife, they all died. That's because they were bums, and I'm not. I mean, he actually thinks people live and die based on whether or not they talk nicely to a snake. Ugh, I mean, what a fucking lunatic. I made an agreement with the snakes 20 years ago that, yeah, I'll leave them alone and they'll leave me alone. Yeah, right. Fucking lunatic.
I don't know who you're talking about. I was talking about the jackass who thought his car was getting 50% better miles per gallon.
It's the same fucking guy. It's the same fucking guy. It's the same fucking guy. He's nuts. For a lot of reasons.
I don't know.
not to throw a monkey wrench in the conversation, but I did want to jump in real quick and apologize for leaving last week. I watched your what the fuck, and you shamed me in the what the fuck. So I apologize. I know I do it, and it sucks. It's my intention is not to hurt your feelings.
I was just butthurt, that's all. Just a little butthurt, you know, and I don't get any love.
I did
You
join
fucking
your
kicked me out.
I joined your website though. I don't know what the next step is, but I am now an official member. So.
Well, that's too cool. Yay! Yeah, it's all convoluted how to really make anything happen there. I mean, you can post YouTube videos, which would be pointless. But if you ever want to make a personal video, I can give you a directory and you can put videos in it, and then you could, you know, they upload them and stuff, and so that would be really cool. But, you know, you'd have to be interested in doing that shit. You know, you don't make videos on YouTube, so, you know. But it'd be nice to have you around anyway.
It'd be a little hard to jump in. I've been kind of going through the videos on the site, and you've got so much history making videos back and forth to so many different characters that I don't know. I'd feel like jumping midstream into a conversation where I have no frame of reference. But I don't want to do the YouTube thing because you're right, that is completely fucking pointless. I think the whole idea is to not have to deal with the bullshit that is YouTube.
Yeah, well, I'd like to find a way to find a way, you know, just find a way to help this eat into people, to get to people. Because, yeah, it's just, there's so many valuable conversations the human race isn't having, and they just don't know, you know, I don't know how they're not starved for that. I just don't get how they can not feel that, oh, I'm missing out on something. This ignorance thing is a problem. I ought to fix that. I ought to be informed. I mean, I was, you know, but that, it just might be, you know, I was just one of those people that really was hungry for it. But I mean, I think of stuff that was like on 30 years ago on public television, and you know, we don't even have that anymore. We don't even have fucking Buckley doing, you know, Crossfire. Well, whatever it was called. And it wasn't Crossfire. It was what the fuck was Buckley's stupid debate show? But I mean, I'm just saying, we don't have anything anymore. We don't got shit. Philosophy is so dead in pop culture.
Now, according to Molyneux, that other fucking...
Well, yeah, well, he's not a philosopher. He's a snake oil salesman.
I know, how's that fucker get away with it?
Well, he says what people want to hear. The government done it. Yeah, it's all them evil people took all my money.
I know, like the bank ever came to your house, put a gun in your face and said, you're gonna borrow this money. Like, whose fault really is it?
You know, there's this whole thing where people blame all this crap. I mean, I hate the poor only because they breed. But the idea that these welfare people are sucking up the national wealth or something is just such a crock of shit. You know, because what they buy are basic commodities. And so in a way, they just make your life better in a way, because they create incentive for companies to keep making the stuff you like to eat and roads you like to drive on and all that kind of stuff. Poor people just use regular shit. It's the silly rich who hire a bunch of people to do stuff no one will ever get any benefit out of, and nobody gets it. I mean, you know, people can just inherit a big pile of money, never work a day in their life, and they're fucking heroes. And then these welfare bums, they'll sit there and just keep blaming for every fucking problem on planet Earth.
Yeah,
I don't think the
it really
country's
is a
broke
silly
because of welfare check.
It is a silly fucking notion that, like, even a horde of quote-unquote welfare bums could do anywhere near the damage one rich fuck can do in this country. Just a complete swapping of priority.
Yeah, just in terms of wealth alone, right? I mean, the richest man in the world owns as much stuff as the 60 million poorest people in this country. I mean, so come on, let's get real. Who's the blight? And he expects that money to grow every year, and he expects you to do work to make it grow. So that's the only way it can grow, is you gotta work for that fucker. You don't gotta work for the welfare fucker. He'll settle for the same rickety house and rickety shit and rickety crap for his whole lifetime. He's not gonna keep demanding a profit. You know, I guess everything's overdocked. I haven't been overdocked in a while. Strange. Must be the cat.
And are they going to fix this fucking worthless website? Like, the overdocking thing makes no sense as an ongoing problem.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to complain just because Stickam has been very, very good to me. I mean, it's all free and all that crap, and they haven't been terrible. I mean, I don't like the ads and stuff now, but you know, it's still pretty tame for what we're getting. But yeah, I mean, you know, they got all these fancy improvements. I mean, they made it whatever, artistically more polite. But yeah, I mean, you'd think they could just fix the simple things. Like when I can't even get in my own room. You know, that seems like, so there's something wrong there when the guy who made the group can't get in the group. Yeah, well, I guess it would be the polite thing to do for some of you black screeners to bail out if you're not talking. It is sort of, I really don't even exactly understand why people do that. I mean, I guess maybe they think they're going to say something. I don't know. But I mean, why would you dock up with no video or audio?
Well,
It's just kind of a
I've
strange concept.
you backed off in it, so I suppose I'll just leave, man.
Well, you're incomprehensible, which is part of the problem. I mean, I really like you. I mean, I really like us to get along and all, but, you know, yeah, you're mumbling, and your mic is low, and you can't put up your hand or anything to say, hey, I'd like to say something, so I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, you gotta learn how to play.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I've never been here, so I didn't know that you had to put your hand up.
Sorry. See, every time you just don't get it right. I haven't gotten one of your sentences yet. Not one of them has come through clear. Not one. Hey, lizard guy. Good to see you. Except you're smoking a real cigarette, which is hurting me. It's causing me pain.
You know me, Gary. I'm a fan of my
yeah, I almost want to suck on your face just to get some of that. I mean, man, I'm having my most homosexual moment. It's because he's got a cigarette. Yeah, put a cigarette in somebody's ass, and yeah, I'm all over that.
Harry, if I send you that laptop, do you want